Hello and welcome back to Ten Talk. If you've been following along with us, you know we've been exploring the depth and width of camp, how it shows up beyond just the place itself. Last week we looked at that through the lens of martial arts, anime, and psychology. Today we carry that conversation forward with Kevin, moving into the world of sport. How his passion for serving others has found expression through things like his cricketing career and cycling campaigns, and how those spaces have become more than just a sport for him. This conversation sits right at the intersection of experience, movement, and people. I hope you enjoy this one. Let's dive in. Hello, Mr. Norona. Welcome to Ten Talk. Pleasure to have you here. Before we start, if you could just introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about you. Where you are at in life right now, what you've done.
Thanks, Andy. It's a privilege to be here. Thanks for having me. Current life is a bit, in between destinations, I'd say, because I'm currently in Melbourne, living in Melbourne, Australia. That's where I've been for the last 4 years. But there is a potential to move to Canberra and start life there. So looking forward to that. Otherwise, cricket is a very, very big part of my life at the moment. So a lot of my time goes there. Sport management, so working in the industry, that's another big puller of my time. But yeah, I think that's what's happening.
So what's bringing you to Canberra, Kevin?
I'm getting married, so I found the I found the one who loves my soul, I suppose, if I can quote songs of songs. No, she's lovely. Her name is Christina. She lives in Canberra, and I think the church there has helped us tremendously over the last 18 months. So we want to continue there and start life together as a couple there. So that's why we want to pursue that location.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Congrats. Looking forward to seeing what comes of both of your lives together.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, so something I'd love to know is you've been a camp kid. I think if there's any one title you could put on you is camp kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gone for dozens of camps, more than many of us in the office probably. So just tell us a little bit about that. What brought you into camping?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I think Dad is one to probably give credit to. He always encouraged us to be there, and I think as a group we did that once a year. Every year we'd go for a camp, and it was always an adventurous camp. So there was a lot of activities, a lot of it kept you busy, really. It wasn't one of those camps where you can just do whatever you want. There was a timetable to follow. It was packed, but there were combinations of a lot of different things. There would be life talks, there would be your adventure activities where you're actually kayaking, you're rock climbing, you're gorge walking. So yeah, I think we were blessed as kids to be in that environment, I suppose. I think the first camp that I remember being a part of was when I would have been 4 or 5. No, I would have been 5 because my sister was a few months old, and I still remember my mother telling me stories of other people holding her or them helping my mom to hold Karen up. So
I've heard this story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was in Ooty, in Avalanche, when back then you had to cross rivers and all sorts of things to get to the campsite. But yeah, I think, just that's what childhood looked like. And I'm grateful it looked like that because we were exposed to so many things.
That's awesome. Yeah, childhood in nature always yields a different result. So just a question for you, because you've grown up in camp, how do you think that added to your life differently? If I were to take Kevin in a life where he never experienced life outdoors or in nature, how different do you think your life would have been? I know this is a really hard thing to answer.
No, I think it's very insightful. Great question. Hard for me to imagine, to be honest, because I've always been a very nature-oriented person, and I think that's because of camps. To me, I draw a lot of energy from those places. I am a city boy, but I get a lot of serenity, a lot of peace. My brain works better. I think a lot more efficiently when I'm around places in nature. It's just you and, I suppose creation. So yeah, hard for me to picture a life without it. But if I have to take that element of my current life, I know I would quickly fall apart. So that's how important it is to me.
Wow.
And how much I enjoy being, just in raw nature, to a point where even our wedding location is, in the hills. So
Oh, that's so lovely.
that's the amount of influence it's probably had on both of us. So yeah.
That's beautiful. What a testament to camp.
Yeah.
Lovely to hear. In fact, in our last episode, my friend Benji and I, we talked a lot about the influence that an environment can have on you. And something that we did touch upon is how children who grow up in nature tend to be less anxious, more confident, more resilient. And there's a word you used earlier where you felt like camp was a blessing to you. So I guess my question would be, being in that environment of receiving so much blessing, do you think that that played a role in how you now pour out that blessing to others?
Yeah, thanks, man. I think you're being very kind to me. It's just trying to give back, I suppose. But I think I found a lot of value in what was given to me as a young kid, especially. And I think for me, when I was 16 to 18, there was a lot of changes that I went through. And anybody who's been through that age can testify that it's a tricky period. So I was, blessed to be around wonderful people. They were just lovely. So giving back is, I think, natural and probably comes naturally. It's probably the right thing to do as well, isn't it? But personally, I think I find a lot of purpose when that happens, when I'm able to give back what I've learned or do what's been done for me, especially to young people. Specifically in a camp scenario, right? Because when we do camps, it's slightly different to the mundane or the Western style of camping, where it's you do whatever you want, you're just chilling. There's no real aim, but we do camps very intentionally to be part of nature, to find something that's deeper, and I think sharing that back with young people is important, like life values, carving them to be a better person, better men, better women, and I think that helps society in a large scale. I remember my mentor telling me this when I was about 17 or 18, I can't remember, but he said, when we impact or when we have an influence over one young person's life, you got to think of the ripple effect that has, right? That young person's eventually going to be part of a family. They're going to have kids, or they're already part of a family. They're going to talk to their parents, their siblings, their cousins. So it's incredible to see what can be accomplished with just a little bit of your time, isn't it?
That's so true. Kind of like a mustard seed, right?
Yeah.
Tiny, but you plant it and it yields so much. It's exponential. That's so lovely to hear. Speaking of which, I know you have, although you're being very humble, you've done a lot to invest in people's life. Like you've invested in TFT, volunteered with TFT as well. And I think that also spilled over into your Go Cycle campaign, which is something I'm really curious to hear about, and I think people would be. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, no, thanks, Andy. Yeah, TFT has always been a blessing. And like I said, I think since I was 5 or 6, we've had the privilege of being under their umbrella. So very thankful to the organization and all that they do. Go Cycle, again, sort of partners in a way, in the broader sense, where we're looking at a similar vision of building, a society around Karnataka and Bangalore that's a lot more deeper, looking more to just the mundane life. But yeah, I think Sylvester was a big part of my life, and he is the founder and the one who drives the project and the movement. Yeah, a little brief about what we do in Go Cycle. There's a social cause that we always take, and of late we've changed it to match the particular region that we're going to.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But in India, for the last 9-10 years, it's largely been child sexual abuse, human trafficking. That's been a cause that we've identified to be very, very dangerous to India as a society. I think the statistic still stands where one child goes missing every 10 minutes, I think. I'm not 100% sure of that. But yeah, just spreading awareness, making sure people understand what that means, educating kids on what a good touch is, what a bad touch is, and also allowing them a deeper perspective to life. Getting them to sit back and think about creation, a creator. What does that mean for them, if there is one? How life changes with that, and the different paradigms that comes with a life being lived under that. So I think that's what drives the project, and I think everybody involved with Go Cycle has a love for kids, young people, and society as a whole. But yeah, we cycle from destination to destination. A little bit of camping involved, I think, in a sense, because we're dependent, that's the right word, on the host. So whatever they give us, sometimes it is a room, sometimes it's a 5-star hotel, sometimes it's a tent. Yeah, I think we've also slept on floors multiple times. So whatever they give us, we take, but it's pretty full on. You're cycling, and then you're helping the host. So the idea is to train them to be able to give back to the society, to be leaders.
The host?
The host.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we move from destination to destination, and hopefully by the end of it, we've caused a connection and a chain.
That's super interesting. I'm always very fascinated by how ideas can be transported through unique mediums. Like, how does cycling end up impacting a child's life? It's so interesting to think about. If you could just run us through what one, perhaps, campaign of a Go Cycle episode might look like. Because I've heard some stories from Jude, who we're hoping to have on this podcast in the future.
Yes, great man.
Yeah. So just run us through it, because he's told me some stories about you guys using puppets and stuff like that.
Yeah, let me share probably a day just to give a pretty decent view of what it is. So we'd wake up in the morning, assuming we're already at the destination. We've spent the night with the host. We wake up at about, depending on where our destination is again for the next day. So normally we do, about 250 kilometers on an average in a day. So
wow, you cycle all that way?
Yeah, we use a relay model though.
Okay.
So sometimes, very rarely, we use the conventional model where every cyclist will cycle throughout. But normally it's a relay model. So it's not one person cycling the whole way. You're cycling in short bursts, and then you keep switching as a team. So one cyclist would probably average maybe 80-90 kilometers a day. But now we try to make good time. That's the reason why we try to do relays. But now, depending on how far we have to get, we'd have to leave in the morning. So sometimes it's 4:30, sometimes 5:30, sometimes 6 could work. But one person would normally leave. So while we're setting up for a program, either at the host's place or at a school nearby, one cyclist will leave, and there's another team who is if I can say, specific to outreaches, is what we call. Basically spreading awareness and pushing that project forward in different schools. So we'd have programs whilst the other team is cycling. And yeah, so one car would basically stop at every opportunity they get, and you have this, full on, it's almost a magic trunk, really. you get all these different things out of it. There's magic props, there's puppets, there's games, there's standees so that they know, and kids are able to see this, and that picture just stays in their mind. So a bit of science involved as well with the colors and what we think kids will remember for a longer period of time.
Smart.
Even with our jerseys, I think we have fluorescent green and a combination of different colors.
So it flags in the brain.
Yeah,
so interesting.
Even if they forget for the day, like when they see that color, let's say a month later or even a year later, they're like, oh, this happened.
So
and then,
cool. Yeah.
So it was, nice to be able to sit, and a lot of credit goes to Sylvester, Esther, and the team to be able to think in those lines. but yeah, that's basically the day, and the team would find all possible means. We normally have somebody who's a juggler as well, so freestyle football, and that draws attention. That gets the crowd going as well, and that
Yeah.
allows us to be able to then talk about the project, and how we can eventually become better as a society and come together. But yeah, that's the day to day. And once we reach the host, I think depending on the host, there's different things that we can do to, I suppose, equip them. Some hosts like more of a training. Some hosts prefer, us actually going to a school or coming with us to a school and seeing us do a program. And that is, a way of them getting equipped for them to be able to do programs. Yeah, that's basically the program. But I think we've been super blessed to visit. I think we've visited every part of India really, because of the projects.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of communities, a lot of yeah. I never thought India was that diverse. To be honest, it's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were cycling from, it would have been somewhere in North India, I can't remember, but we were cycling from a town to town, it's 50 kilometers within the same day, but they were speaking a different language, they was eating a different food, they understood life very differently. It was almost like a different country, really.
That's like that, not even that far apart.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm.
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah, and there's also something really interesting about when you use these different fun activities to teach kids, right? Like you guys said, you all used puppets and someone juggling a ball. It registers in your memory very, very easily. So I know that you're very interested in sports as well. And I know you've also partaken in something called Ready, Set, Go, where they try and teach you values through sports. Is that something you see as being very valuable as an educational tool to kids?
100%. We call it experiential learning, and I think we normally stick to the same model, which is the experiential cycle. So you have the experience itself, and it can be an activity, it can be a game, like you said, but something that the kid or the person would actually do. So get up and do and perform, rather than sitting and watching. So you're using all functions. You're hearing, you're seeing, you're doing. And yeah, that's the experience of it. And then you move to the next aspect, is which you sit and you reflect, right? You then try to pull out learnings from that experience as much as you can. And then there's a message, which is sort of a theme, a theme, because without a theme we can really go everywhere. So a theme that just sort of brings it all together, so that there's one sort of major learning. There can always be little parts of it under an umbrella.
Detours, yeah.
Correct, yeah. But just one overarching theme. And then you got the application of it, which I think we're a big believer in. And I speak for all of us, really. And even at camps, we follow the same model. Application in a sense where you take something back to your life. Right?
Yeah.
Don't want to be a case where you just hear, you have this wonderful experience, you have fun, you have this great time, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, it's all forgotten, or it just sits as a memory.
Yeah, then it's just something fun, and memory doesn't stay that strongly as well. If it's not attached to something valuable, or at least that your brain flags as valuable. Yeah. So I think that's played a really big role in your life as well, because you then pursued cricket, right? When did that change happen?
Yeah, thanks. No, cricket is a bit of a big topic really for my life, because I've spent so much time with the game. But I think the switch really happened when I was 18, when I went to the training. It was in Goa, a 10-day training. I met my mentor there as well, wonderful man. But that's where things took a big turn for me. I played cricket predominantly for myself, so that my name would be great, so that it was essentially all about me. But after I was taught these things, or if I can say it in this way, that I saw something a lot greater than myself, I think that's when things really begin to shed light, especially from a sport perspective, because you then see the power of sport and the power that it has to influence people, your teammates, the people you play with. But I think more importantly in India, the people that watch, because there is a lot of audience.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so I think that was a big change. It began serving people, getting people to understand that it's not really about you. There's more to life than just building treasure for yourself. Or there's more to it than just hitting a ball. There's so much more that can come out of it, like you're actually learning about life lessons and perseverance and trialing through different sufferings of life that will come at some stage for anybody, really. But yeah, also just being part of a team, getting them to understand that community works the same way, really. And yeah, whenever I speak at different places, there's always a cricket analogy. So yeah, I think it's always a big part of my life.
Wow. So you understand a lot of life through the language of cricket.
Yeah.
That's super interesting, man. And that's something I'm really passionate about. Even again, I've talked to a lot of people about how I really feel like the education model needs to be changed. Like a lot of things that we're talking about now, what we're trying to do is essentially revert back to an older form of how society functioned. Where if you had a family unit, the children would be with the parents in the field. They'd be making pots with their parents, working with their parents, engaging in close relationships. And they learn life through it. You don't necessarily have to teach a child, like Newton's law of, okay, if you apply a force, you'll get an equal and opposite force. By molding the clay, they just get that knowledge automatically, which is something really, really cool. And I think we are trying to revert to that. And I think that's why things like Ready, Set, Go, even what you're doing with Go Cycle are super powerful. Even for that matter, what we do as camping, right? Because when we teach someone archery, we're not trying to teach them how to shoot a bow and arrow, right? We're trying to teach them about the art of letting go. Or something about, it's okay to fail, you're going to miss certain things in life, or where you're going to go in life, and it's okay to let certain things go. So are there any moments in camp that kind of stuck with you, some certain lessons that have hit you, doing something that people might look at as like, oh, that's just an ordinary thing, or even not camp for that matter, during your cricketing career, if there's a memory that hit you that really stuck with you as a person?
I'll probably share an instance where I think we were at a camp in Tamil Nadu. I can't remember the district, but it was while we were doing archery. And I think this was sort of, again, I think in line with the experiential learning process. And it was a college that we were doing it for. I think it was a medical college. And for me, like you said, it's always connecting that activity to life. And I think there was a poet called Khalil Gibran who wrote a really nice poetry about archery. For him it was a lot of symbols. He thrived on it. So he said, picture an archery sport, right, as if the dartboard were life. Picture the arrow as if that was you, and the archer being the creator, and of course the bow being an instrument in the creator's hand. And there's a lot of analogies you can pull out of it, but in that specific camp, in that specific moment, we've sort of found a need to get a little deeper in that context, and it was reciprocated as well. So the college that we were doing it for wanted something like that. So yeah, I think the students got a lot of that. And I think even for me, from a personal point of view, it's what I thrive in, right? You got to think a little bit more or a little deeper into what does life look at from that perspective, right? If there's a creator and he's positioning you on his instrument in a specific way, it's sometimes just being free, like an arrow. If you're a little bit rigid, like some arrows are, until you find the right feather or find the right position, until that happens, he's not really ready to shoot, right? So just being free in his hands and allowing, or trusting him rather, to know what he's doing, so that it actually flows free, and he knows what he's doing, he knows where he's aiming, and trusting that he will put you in a place where he wants you to be, I suppose. And yeah, I think there's a lot of freedom in that way of um, life and that perspective, where you're just enjoying it really, and you, yeah, sab kuch likha hai, right, is what a lot of Indians will say. And I think it's, yeah, what brings a lot of comfort to me as well.
That's so lovely to hear, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It really hit me as well. Super cool. I've never heard that before. Yeah, there's a lot of freedom that comes in a way by letting go. And it's something that, we've talked about rather in the previous episodes as well, where you're molded by what's happened rather than you're just escaping from it.
Yeah.
So if I could ask you in your life, we've seen or we've heard rather in the last 30 minutes that you've been through so many seasons. Was there ever a point at which you felt like, okay, I don't have any answers, and you had to go through that process of letting go?
Yeah, great question, and again, incredibly insightful. For me, I've always been a person who's wanted control over things. And I think,
most of us, yeah.
yeah, I think it comes from cricket as well. Cricket, unlike other games, and I've played soccer as well with a lot of guys. Soccer, football, I think there's little control, especially when you're playing a 11-a-side game compared to cricket. Right, cricket, one person can do a lot of damage in a game. So being a cricketer, I think it came from there. I think that hunger to do well, that hunger to, make sure things were within your control and you were able to make that change in the game, sort of pushed into life as well. So I wanted to be in control of most things happening around me, like a job, like university, which university I went to, or which location I went to, or how much I was earning, parents' health, grandparents' health, a lot of things where I had a plan and I said, oh, this is perfect, this is how it should be. And yeah, like you said, I think life breaks you down in different ways, and I think it's the creator's way of humbly letting us know that we're very little and we're very weak. And yeah, for me, it was accepting that I was not as big as I thought I was, and I was actually incredibly, incredibly small, and it was more allowing him to do his work and trusting that he knew what he was doing. And even though things were breaking me at different points, I remember my grandmom passing away, my grandfather passing away in 2017. Both really took its toll on me because I grew up with them and we were in the same house. So different things can break a person's life, and I think for me that's how it came to me, and it really started getting me to ask questions that I never thought I'd ask. And it all worked for the better, right? So I'm, to use an analogy of a potter and a clay, I'm in much better shape because of those sufferings. Take those sufferings off, I'll still be a pretty ordinary mold. So again, credit goes to the potter, right? You don't take credit for something that you don't really do. So yeah, I think accepting is a good word, but more understanding that his plans are better really is a better way of looking at it, and just trusting that. And I think there's a lot of peace in knowing that. And I think the psychology of man will also agree. They just word it differently, right? They say acceptance or letting go is much better than trying to run after things or trying hard to grab on things. I think the butterfly effect is something that I always remember when we talk about these kind of things. I don't know if you've heard of the butterfly effect.
I feel like I've heard a brief snippet, but I don't think I've understood the depth of it.
Yeah, it's kind of simple though. It's really it's like a butterfly, right? If normally for most butterflies you see a butterfly, you want to catch it, especially as a kid. But the more you try to catch it, the more it sort of runs away. But if you just sit simply and allow it to come, it will come in its time, and it will come and land in your shoulder. So I think there's an incredible amount of power in just trusting that process and allowing things to take effect. and the butterfly will come and sit when the time is right.
Wow, but it takes so much to get to that place, wouldn't you say? Like, I really relate to a lot of what you're saying. Like that struggle in life with your job, finances, and a lot of us, when you get to that age where you're approaching marriage and you start thinking about life in a bigger picture, it really puts a lot of pressure on you, right? And I think we see that a lot in the youth of today, all over the world. Right, there are people that struggle to get to this place of where you can lean back and say, "Okay, cool. I know I'm got by someone."
Yeah.
Or something, or whatever you believe. Like, what do you think inhibits people getting to that place?
I think, it's really,
Or at least in your experience, like I've seen things that inhibit people, right? If you could just put a blanket term over it, hurt is a big one,
yeah, I think suffering is the only way people grow, really. People mature. Very, very hard to see somebody with a lot of growth and a lot of maturity without trials and suffering. But I also think it's up to the person. Like some people learn really quickly, and I think that's a better position to be rather than, being somebody who is not teachable and still trying to get your way around things. And I think there's a lot of value in counsel, so seeking counsel from the right people. And it points you to a really, really privileged position to be in, really. Especially when it comes to, growth as a human being, and even as men. Like you said, I think there's a lot of uncertainty for young men today, unrealistic expectations for young men to have before they get married. And I've tried to be as outspoken as I can be. You don't have to have, a big house or a car. I think as long as you're able to provide basic needs and be content with what you have, it should be enough. Because if we're not content in the little, we'll never be content with how much ever comes.
That's a really powerful word. Pratap and I were talking about the word contentment today as well. And when you say that as well, there's something that really hits me, and a beautiful connection to why I think camping is so powerful. Because like we said, so many young people struggle with so many things, and they look to so many different outlets, right? But they so rarely find a space where they can truly be open, where they can truly be listened to. And camping is definitely that type of space. And I think one reason it's so powerful, again, like we've spoken about before, is that when you're in nature, it's a great humbler. Right? There's a reason why a lot of peace has been formed over meals, shared meals. Something about eating together, it levels you. No matter where you are in life, no matter where I am in life, no matter our political opinions, we both eat food. So even when you go camping for that matter, you're all doing the same activity together. There's something about the unity that forms there that kind of brings people down and opens up a space for them, wouldn't you say?
100%. Yeah, and like you said, I think sharing meals in camp, the privilege of camp is you get to interact with people outside of the mundane. You see them across the day. You see them struggling with, all kinds of battles as well. If I'm talking to you for an hour, there's a lot that you won't be able to see. But if you're spending 2-3 days with me, there's a lot that'll just come up, without, the other person even really knowing. So I think that's the beauty of camps. And I think, for us as groups, as families, we always looked at it as a very, very effective strategy to bring people together. It's one of the bigger reasons why we would do it, really, especially when there was a new team. Always go camping, and it always worked, really. We always got people together.
Get people into one space and amazing things happen.
Yeah.
When you can't run away, kind of like marriage, wouldn't you say? That's why they say marriage is the ultimate sanctification, because there's no running away.
True.
You're stuck together. Congrats on that, by the way.
Can't
wait to hear your perspective on this in a year or two. But anyway, it's been really lovely talking to you, Kevin. Again, congratulations on the upcoming nuptials.
Thank you.
We will be praying for you. And looking forward to your new life together. Thanks you so much for being here with us.
Thanks, Adi. It was a privilege. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.